mandatory student activity fee here at Buffalo State.
Leader with me today, someone who I am elated to speak with. And I'm hoping that she's here so I can give her the floor to introduce herself. Are you there?
I am here, Celia.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I don't know how many different ways to introduce you, but I think I've said so far, you are a Latina, a combat veteran, a community leader, a mom, a mom of an alum, a committee member, and like just all around a big deal. I'm super excited to talk with you. Did I miss anything in there? Oh, a business owner, a CEO.
Thank you so much. Yes, I think you got it all.
Absolutely. So, okay. So can you just tell everybody, what year you were here at SUNY Buffalo State? We're a university now, like you already know. And then kind of your connection with your daughter graduating recently?
Yes, so I graduated from Buffalo State in 2015 with my bachelor's degree in social work. My daughter recently graduated this May, with a background of bachelor's in criminal justice and forensic anthropology.
Such a big deal. I am so excited to talk to you. Like you are a double alum, basically. I'm so proud of your daughter. Shout out to all the Bengals who just graduated this year.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I think for me, I want to tell your story very deliberately in context to, Latina, civic engagement, politics, and all that. But you're really an amazing, authentic, very feminine, like Latina leader. And I remember telling you that I had to put a picture of you as a Marine on the flyer because I was like, nobody's going to believe me that you're like a Marine, you're a combat veteran. So can you talk about that part of your identity and like how and why you decided to serve our nation as you did. And thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Celia. So I entered the Marine Corps in 1998. Always wanted to serve my country, wanted to travel, and things like that. So I went into boot camp in 98, and I served as a sergeant in Iraqi freedom after 9/11. We were deployed to serve in Iraq and protect our nation. At that time, I was a mom of an 18-month-old who I had to leave behind, along with her father also served at the same time. We were both deployed and sent to Iraq, leaving our 18-month-old with my family in New York City to care for as we went overseas to fight a war.
Yes. I know that just hearing your story, you really motivate me. I have two cousins in my family who are also similarly veterans of the same engagement. And I just think of your commitment to your country and like your bravery. So, as a young mother, and I look at the pictures of you in your service uniform, what was it like to have people address you? Like one of the things I love about the military, and I think it says like this kind of like craziness about me. I don't know if it's because I'm a Scorpio or what, like the formality about the titles, right? So what is it like to be a young mom, to be Latina, right? At a time when a lot of women struggle to exert authority, to have someone address you with that title, to have the arms and military training that you have, like what is it like to feel and wear that confidence as it grows on you at boot camp?
At that time, because now we're looking at like 20 years ago,
yeah,
there were definitely more females coming in. However, it still wasn't a lot.
Right.
Females. So I was the platoon sergeant of 85 Marines in Iraq.
Shout out to them. That's a big deal.
I had 85 Marines under me. As a woman in the Marine Corps, you have to work 10 times harder. You have to work 10 times harder. You have to earn the respect. You have to do the things that the males would do. So I was fortunate that I had been stationed with two really great units that I had men that became my brothers, and of course, physically, you still have to do the same things as them and being at Iraq. But I had a good experience as far as the units I was with and the men and the women that I served with.
Yeah, I'm so incredibly proud of you. And I know that when you and I were preparing for the interview, or I kind of was fangirling you basically, like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Because as a Latina political scientist, like I take my ability to interview you and the legacy of the Marines very seriously, right? Because I feel like you said, like it's like a family. And I was doing research. I think it was founded sometime in 75 or somewhere around there. But I know that when we were doing research, I was talking to you about like trying to figure out the first Puerto Rican woman who had signed up to be in the Marine Corps. And I think it was Rose Franco, and she signed up in the Korean war. So, you're coming as a part of a legacy of women within 50 years of the first Boricua to ever wear that uniform that was a female. And like just being able to interview you, and especially it being the week of us celebrating and the Independence Day in the way that we do and the way we understand parts of our history here, I just think is a privilege. So 85 Marines is a lot of lives.
Yeah.
And that's why it's sergeant, correct? I remember when you said that, I was like, how do I address you correctly?
Yeah, so I was a sergeant in the Marine Corps. Yeah.
So I think that I have a beautiful understanding and appreciation for those people who are service people. But I also know that I obviously, as a civilian, do not know all the things that come with serving. And I know that when you come out, or when you transition back into living more of a civilian centered life, like you bring a lot of those skills with you into the workforce and into the community. So can you say a little bit about your community work and kind of how the two have developed, or did develop, or one complemented the other?
Yes, I mean, I still live by the values and, the core values that the Marine Corps has taught me: honor, courage, commitment, integrity. I think I apply that with everything I do in my life, and I think that's what helped me transition out and become part of the community that I do love and share. And for the past, 20 years that I've been home, I've been able to be involved in the community, the Hispanic community, on different levels, volunteering, different boards and things like that. And everything that I was taught, everything that I've learned, I apply it to my everyday life, my personal life, my kids' life. So for me, I still am like very, Marine Corps, and
I feel like it's like a forever thing.
It is a forever thing. It's a life-changing thing. It's a forever thing. It's an honorable thing. It's something, especially Marines, that we keep in our hearts and our daily lives, and we hold that forever.
Now, Sergeant,
we never lose touch with that.
now, Sergeant Felicia Cruz, you
Yes.
sound like you had a great experience in the armed forces. However, I just want to, because I've heard other stories too. Did you have to deal with any of the, should I say, malarkey or stuff, being a woman? Because you said 20 years ago, so I'm sure there was some things that you've seen, maybe you even had to deal with. Was there any of that for you?
I mean, you're always going to have that, a little bit of, I would say, like some discrimination.
Mhm.
I think that's just something that comes with that type of territory. I mean, you're working amongst men, and you're a woman, but I have to say that, again, my units were very welcoming and accepted me as that woman. But you have to prove yourself. You have to do things 10 times harder just to prove yourself that you are worthy to be there.
So
it's not just boot camp. Boot camp is probably the hardest of the military branches. We go through the crucible, which is 3 days after 3 months of training, and you don't pass those 3 days, you don't become a Marine.
That's so scary.
But, you know, moving forward and going to duty stations and things like that, I had good brothers that, you know, kind of took me under their wing. But it still wasn't easy.
Wonderful. It sounds like you went in with an attitude, I'm not going to be offended. I'm going to prove myself. So no matter what they throw, I'm coming out a winner. So you went in a winner.
Oh, yeah. Self-motivation. Yeah. Like, I was there to stay. I wasn't going anywhere. Even prior to going, you know, I had to, you know, train and do some things to get myself physically and mentally ready to go. So it's the same thing when you're in there, you know, mentally strong and pushing forward. And again, I do that in my everyday life now, goals and things that I want for myself, you know, self-motivation. And I don't like to be told no. Figure out a way to figure it out, how to get it.
Right.
And I just want to add, like, I think as a political scientist, like when I think about my neighbors and military service, right, or the process historically of like when you identified yourself as a potential serviceman, like I just want to thank anyone that's ever even walked into a recruiter's office to have that conversation, because I feel like so many people have so many different relationships, right? And if you have someone in your family that's a service person, I had someone here, Mr. Miles, who was I think he was in the Army and the Air Force, and multiple of his family members served. And I remember telling him, I was like, yeah, thank you to your mom. And he was like, well, you know, she wasn't in the service directly. And I was like, but she's in the service, because if you're ironing 5 uniforms, so like, I just feel like there's an entire like community of people supporting people who are service people. You know what I mean? And like that process, it means so much to different people at different parts of their life. Like, it's cool.
A long line of family members that have served as well, Navy,
awesome.
Army, Air Force. I'm still the only female Marine.
Let's go. Let's go.
You know, uncles that were Marines and things like that. And I gotta say, my mom has been still my biggest supporter when it came to serving. It still shocks me out in public about serving in the military, and any chance that she gets, and her family as well have always supported me. Even now, you know, I get thanked 20 years later for my service.
I hold the door open at McDonald's. I'll look at people I don't know, and I'll be like, thank you for your service, dead in their face.
And that's big for a woman and a woman of color, because we know that she has to be, first of all, to go in, she has to be strong mentally, physically, all that, and she has to endure some things, and she's got to do what the men do. So yeah, that's true. Right. So when your mother says that, she's saying, my daughter is a winner, a strong winner. You don't want to mess with us. That's basically what she's saying.
Have you talked to my mom?
We would love to have her on the show. I'm all about talking to people's moms. And, you know, I think that I take very seriously that every single leader, including the one, Zachariah, who came in the space before you, like, they're part of a family and of a community that's represented in that person. So when I think of you representing the Buffalo community, the Latina community, and even the community that we're both part of at a larger scale, like, I'm very proud. I'm very proud. And that's why I take this very seriously. So can you tell me a little bit about what advice you would give anybody that's a young mother that's trying to make the decisions about sacrifice? Because I've seen you have such beautiful commitment to your family, including your nephew. And, you know, like, I'm just really proud of you. But like, how do you make those decisions when it comes up to time to pick either work, or like, how do you balance all of that?
Well, you're a young mom yourself, so you already know that, you know, it does take sacrifice. Your kids come first and their needs. So balancing it, again, I think it's some of the things I also learned in the Marine Corps, right? Because everything is time. Everything is time management, and being there 15 minutes prior and having to, you know, have your things together. I think that helped me also balance my life as far as being, you know, a mom and a student at one time, a working mother, you know, an aunt, and just that everyday, you know, life, as far as we journey in this life, right? But everyday hustle, I think that just comes from what I experienced. And I'm still like that. I'm still the person that has to be on time 15 minutes prior. I'm still that person that, I like things a certain way and make sure things are flowing. And my kids also have seen me, go to school at night and work 2-3 jobs. And that also, I think, helped form them as far as like, look, my mom's doing it, I'm going to do it. And my daughter, like I said, just graduated at 21 years old with her bachelor's, and
Very nice.
looking forward to what her future holds. And my
Cool.
nephew is also in college as a football athlete.
Let's go.
Very nice.
So, hopefully what I've learned, I have installed into them, whether it's, military affiliated or not, they have those morals and values as well.
Yeah, and I think so much of why we've had a mix of, okay, first I've seen amazing CEOs who are also service people. So like we're going to get into that because y'all be getting to the money. Like there's just something about that discipline that you learn there. But I think the other thing is, and I want to say this very seriously in a moment of sincerity, talking just like as two people, we just happen to be on the radio, right? Like you and others, I think specifically of Crystal Rodriguez, who I know have made the ultimate sacrifice to enroll as a service person, which I know is for life. Like y'all motivate me to be better when I go into public spaces. Like that's what I meant when I meant like you're a strong role model. Like you make me want to like kind of like act right. Cause like sometimes I'd be like, swerving. And then I'm like, I have amazing women who are going to be in that room with me. And I find you so motivating. Crystal also has a service background. So just thank you for being present and showing up for my generation and for others like your daughter. Cause you're a strong role model for us.
And it's leading by example, and it's being present, like you started seeing, and then giving back to the community that you also, we give back together, and just showing that, as a community, we have to help each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I want to talk about kind of two parts of your brain, right? So the social work part and how you feel your time at Buffalo State impacted your approach to social work, because I'm very proud of our social work department here and the faculty and their commitment to, service and the way they understand our charge, right? And then also kind of like your CEO brain and how kind of those two things complement each other. But can you start with the social work? Like, I know that you want to help your community, but what was being a social work student like here at Buffalo State, as you know that you come from a background of such resiliency?
So when I first came home, I really didn't know what I wanted to do.
Okay.
A lot of military people will apply for civil service jobs, criminal justice, things like that. So I was going to school actually for criminal justice, but I was working in the human service field already. So as I was working in the human service field, I felt it was important for me to kind of learn that background and learn social work, because now I'm working with people in their lives, right? So I'm needed to be more hands-on, and I switched over to substance abuse and mental health counseling was my first degree, and then I went on to social work. And I just felt it was important to, again, be that presence in our community, that there's so many things that are needed across the board in the Hispanic community, whether it comes to homelessness, which I have done homelessness for about 15 years. I worked in the shelters in the wintertime. When it comes to poverty, when it comes to our children, when it comes to women and rights, when it comes to, individuals that are suffering from mental health and substance abuse. All of those we experience in the Hispanic community, in different communities, not just us, but I felt it was important that as a presence, as a person to go in those communities, I needed to have that background to help others.
Right. And I think you bring something to the academic discipline. When I talk to my friends who are doctors or public policy analysts, I feel as if my job as a Puerto Rican to say my community has been disproportionately impacted by public health and public health policy factually. My grandmother was afraid to go to the hospital because of the rates of sterilization in Puerto Rico. So when you come as a student, right? But the other thing that has excited me about my even ability to be on the radio, or my privilege to be part of the staff and have conversation with the faculty here, when you come to an institution that's ready to hear that part and understand how to work that into the future way that they understand the history that we're teaching, that's an amazing place to be. Was there like any faculty or any people here on campus that you felt like were really formative in like your time of becoming, you know, the social work professional that you are?
Well, when you mentioned your grandmother, my grandmother also, Philly Rodriguez, was a social work and a pillar in the Hispanic community. So as a child,
Wasn't she on a flag? Isn't she on a flag for it? Didn't
yes,
shout out to Casimiro for doing that for everybody. That was super cool.
Yeah, so she was a pillar in the community as well, and I remember as a kid going with her to community events, and if she had to work and there was a community function, I was tagging along. So I was already part of that. So just, you know, with her legacy, and I continue to lead her legacy, not just by the work that I do, but, you know, with her scholarships and things that are still, you know, in her name. I try to continue that because she did a lot of work also. So she also opened those doors for me. I feel like
Where did she study?
She passed away. I actually came back from Iraq, and then I came to visit, and then she shortly passed away after that. So I was still in the military. But as I came back to Buffalo, different doors opened for me, and I know she had a lot to do with that.
Right, and go ahead, Billy.
No. I was going to say.
I don't know why I'm just like tearing up thinking about my own grandma. And like, I think that for Latinas or for Puerto Ricans, right, who historically our flag was illegal, like in Puerto Rico. I don't think a lot of people know that, right? And like, there's so many different Latinas who receive different types of messaging about how American they are. Like what that must have been like for her to know that you're serving our country with such dignity and with such responsibility. You know, as she knew that, like that must have been huge for her. I think there's like different ways that we honor their legacy, and I'm just like really proud of you and being able to interview you and the legacy of service that you come from. So you mentioned that your grandma was a social work oriented and community helper. Did you, and you mentioned you know, scholarship and things of that nature. Did you want to say anything about her where she was educated, or anything that you felt like she published, or ways that we could like kind of know about her work and grow closer to her legacy?
She also went to Buffalo State.
No way. I was waiting for that. No way. That's so cool.
Yeah.
3 generations of Latina Buffalo State. Stop playing with us.
Also, my grandmother.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And then, you know, as far as the helping field, my mother's a nurse for 30 years.
Wow.
You know, a lot of my aunts are nurses and doctors, and I think it was just installed in me to help people.
You was destined to be great, girl.
Oh, thank you so much.
So now that you told me that, I'm expecting more from you. I know.
Oh, well, no.
Titles,
we have
more now.
There's so many events to plug. I was like, okay, so when do we start that part of just like acknowledging all the communities that you lift up and the things that you're a part of? But I'm so grateful for you.
From a strong line of women as well. So I have to shout out to them too, because I come from that strong, you know, woman, my mother, my grandmother, who, you know, also showed me that, my aunt. So as far as, you know, in Buffalo State, I again, working in the field, I came across a lot of people before even going to school that were already doing the work, and kind of took me under the wing too, and showed me, like, you know, I was very in the streets doing the work already. Mm-hmm. And then just having education was that other piece that I needed to really figure out how to help people in the right way.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so special about this place is you will have a faculty or staff or even one of the administrators say, our Buffalo State students do work. Like, we understand, like, so many of you are distinguished in your own way before you come to campus that we just really want to add on in whatever way we can authentically. And, you know, I'm just so grateful for this radio, for the history that's been made on this campus. You know, I think I've mentioned to you, my dad was part of the Buffalo State community. He was a member of Adelante Estudiante Latino. Stop playing with them. And, you know, I wanted to just ask you, because I had a privilege about a year ago starting this journey of interviewing people, and I was interviewing people with Stephanie Alcazar from Ponce, and Stephanie and I always had like our question, right? Which, what part of Puerto Rico are you from? And like, what's your core Puerto Rican like dish? of like, okay, it's that day and
Well,
this is the
I'm from
food you're getting.
Buffalo. I was born and raised here.
Right, but like what part of Puerto Rico is your family from?
Yeah, San Juan.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Okay, and my dish.
Yeah, your
what my
dish.
favorite dish was? Oh wow, there's too many. No, I like pollo guisado is probably one of my favorites.
That's definitely a solid answer. That's definitely a solid answer. And I think that's so I interviewed boxer Wilfredo Rivera from Dunkirk, and I think that was his answer too. And I was like, you're literal fighting internationally. And I asked you what your favorite food is, and it's like guisado, but you know, everybody has like their core food that is like their soul food.
I'm not Latin, but give me red beans and rice and chicken. I'm happy.
Willie's like, I want to vote.
Since we're talking about food, I just want to put this out here. Okay, so the Grease Pole Festival is July 21st, 22nd, and 23rd.
Let's go.
I am the vendor coordinator for food and non-food. So I get that luxury of meeting with vendors, setting up,
Nice.
meetings with them to get them involved in our festival, because without the vendors, we don't have a festival, right?
Right.
So I have people that come right from Puerto Rico and actually participate in our event.
Nice.
So if you're looking for food, come down to 261 Swan Street the weekend of the 21st for our 52nd annual Grease Pole Festival.
Yes. Shout out to Alavencias, and I will be down there with all the food tickets. Please stop playing with me. I have a picture of my son with like a huge icy, like standing in front of the gates. Like I was so excited to bring him down there. And also, just wanting to acknowledge the beautiful economies that are supported by our really strong festival community that we have that is so much supported by volunteerism, but that's such an exciting time to showcase so many different types of food. And as y'all know, we're in the West Side. I'm obligated, a member of the West Side Business Taxpayers Association. The Italian Festival is coming up too. So like if you're listening, come to Buffalo and eat. Like come to Buffalo. I will definitely be on Swan Street and also at the Italian Festival. Okay, so
Taste of Buffalo also.
My last thing about your service in terms of the Alavencia Center, and obviously the beautiful legacy that is part of the community that like we go there to celebrate. Like, what is your favorite part about the festival? Like, what is your favorite part about the grease pole? Because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but like that's really part, I think, indigenous of like very representative of like us going back to part of like understanding our Taino culture. So like it's so cool. I feel like, and then there's food, and then there's t-shirts. But like, what's your favorite part from working from like the inside out?
So I grew up in the festival as well. My grandmother also used to run a kiosko at the festival, but she also was a board member for many, many years. So growing up with, Weimer and some of the other board members, like we grew up as family and we're still family, and just being there and again and having different people from different areas, but you also see the people you grew up with, and now you're at my age, you're meeting their grandkids and kids. So just watching us grow up together and the community itself, I think it's just a beautiful thing once everything is done and we are out there and it's a good time and it's music and it's culture. Again, like bringing it all back to the roots and really seeing like the different things that other people provide to our festival is amazing every single year that I do it. And I've been on the board now for 15 years. But again, I grew up in school, and it's something that I love being part of and will probably be part of until I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, literally, I have so many beautiful pictures. And I think that part of like the beauty of like, I have a picture of my baby with pinchos or like just eating, right? But just, I think that you can see in all of our faces of this joy of community. And I'm very grateful for everyone, including the Alavencias, who take their time because very much like the Italian Festival, that's an all year planning thing. Like people think that it's like, you don't pop up 3 weeks before the festival and like, okay, we do this. Like this is an all year thing. So I'm so grateful for your sacrifice there. And I just want to acknowledge, I love being a part of the West Side community, but the fact that, Latinos first settled in part of where the Olivencia Center is physically located is super cool too, because that kind of brings us back to our history. So I think there's a lot of things about the festival, the Italian festival, the taste, and others that make up the character of our city. And I'm really grateful just to kind of hear like why you're committed to it. It's a really cool thing.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So as we come to a close, like I'm gonna just always ask you some of the questions that I ask like the leaders who come to the space that I'm in awe of. And I think it's very selfish, Willie, because I literally ask all the leaders, I'm like, if you would give a piece of advice, because I honestly feel like I grow with every one of my interviews, right? So like if you would give a piece of advice to someone who is considering entering into service of like an organization or an event about how to like function the best on a team, you know, like what advice would you give them? Because a lot of times we think about being a good leader, but I think a lot of times being a good leader is synonymous with being a good team member. And I really see you as someone that's a strong team member.
Yes, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, some of us are born leaders and some of us learn to be leaders. But yes, we have to be teammates as well, and that's in any aspect of your life. And as far as the military, if anybody is considering going, just understand like that is a commitment, and that is something that has to be you're passionate about. You're serving your country, you're serving your community, you're serving your family. And
I feel like there's people there that will have conversations with you. Like, I feel like if people feel like if they go into a recruiter's office, it's like they can't come out. Like, no, like they will literally sit and talk with you about your goals and kind of figure out, do you fit, do you not fit, where, and help you. Like, that's been my experience when I've talked to people. Like, it's a like an ongoing relationship you build with people. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. And I'm also grateful for being on the Gabriel Rodriguez, 1928 post, where I have other veterans and service members, and we come together again and we help each other. Again, that's something that is installed in you while you're in service, and it does never leave you. I mean, I have friends that, I've made in the Marine Corps family that I still visit to this day, that I know their families know me. So it's something that just never goes away. You build that bond. And for any person, young person that's considering it, I think it's something that will always go with you and throughout life. And those are doors that can open, even if you serve 4 years, if you serve 2 years, you still have that integrity and that moral and, that commitment installed in you.
Yeah. And the fact that you went, and as just was to be closed, I want to distinguish your achievement, right? So the fact that you served as a Marine is amazing. The fact that you, were successful in pursuing like the training, the physicality, the mentality, and also the fact that you went, left our country, went into an environment where we were there, and you were responsible for lives, I think is tremendous and statistically speaks to your place in leadership, and I think it's really important for people to acknowledge that there are, so many Latinas who are deployed right now. And if you're out there and you're listening or you listen to this in the future, thank you. Because I think that we're all part of like this digital community. And sometimes it's hard for us to talk to parts of our community that seem like the most far away. But I know that we have a lot of exposure here with 91.3 FM WBNY. We have a rich service community around SUNY Buffalo State University. So it's not without question that somebody might be listening to us. And, I just want to give a moment of strength and gratefulness to those of our service people, all of you who are actively deployed or are coming back from active duty or just like even thinking about it. I'm giving you credit just thinking about it. Sergeant Cruz, as we close the space, is there anything that you want to let the community know is coming up, or tell them they can follow you on Facebook, correct? And the parade, I feel like, has a page too. Because I think United Healthcare is a sponsor, and you guys have like a super cool flyer, and you have an event page, I think, on Facebook.
Yes, I have, any information is on Facebook. People can find me at Fleet Marie. So as far as service members, like you had mentioned, I would just tell, people that are serving now, like, just keep moving forward, and everything is temporary, and you'll be back to your families. And thank you for their service out there, as we are, greatly appreciated as we are sitting in the comfort of our homes, right? There's still people out there fighting in wars. And I was one of them who, again, gratefully came back to my daughter. Her father came back, to his daughter. And some people didn't make it back. And that's real. That's something that most people don't think about, but there are families that didn't get their loved ones back. So I'm just grateful to be here. I am grateful for you, Thalia, for everything that you also do in the community, because you are a big deal as well. And
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you bringing me on the show today.
Absolutely. And
Thank you for your service.
when y'all come back, we got a pincho for you. You already know. I'm really so grateful. Honestly, like I'm so grateful for the community that we build, the celebration. Y'all make sure to hit up all the festivals that we talked about, the parade and the festival pages, and just follow people like Sergeant Cruz. You motivate me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. All right, and factually, I'm pretty sure this is true. I'm pretty sure one of my uncles was a Marine. One of my grandpa's little brothers, the Negron, shout out to them. I'm gonna fact check you, but I'm pretty sure that you were a Marine. And I think if my story reminds me right what Papi said, you were a hell of a one. Or you are a hell of a one. So shout out to all the Puerto Rican Marines. Shout out to all the people who are service people. Shout out to everybody who's got rice, who's getting ready to go serve. And one of the things I have to say is, like, if you have family in the military, mail them something. If you can, send them some food. Because I remember when my cousins were away, that's all I wanted. They wanted Pop-Tarts and wanted to know what was going on at home. Thank y'all. See you later.
I don't wanna wait till late for love. No. Hey. Baby dance for me one more time. And you show me what you got, girl, blow my mind. Oh yeah. So baby dance, I'm just one more time.
Oh, shit.
Girl, you show me what you got, and blow my mind. Hey, I'm way over the sun, sit down in the corner, I pray. I wish we have like one if it's gonna be me. No waste man, I step